There's an identity crisis in the children of America. Over 50% of our kids have a negative self-image. And the identity they have as kids is the identity they'll have as adults. I'm Mark Papadis, creator of I Am for Kids. So where do you think that problem comes from? Anyone who has ever worked with kids knows that they follow the example set by the people that they look up to, which as a kid is pretty much everyone. All kidding aside, they watch and learn and absorb what is going on around them. It's not just what is said or done to them, it's everything that's said and done near them. Getting back to the negative self-image of over half of our kids. In our pilot classrooms for our I Am for Kids school program, when asked to complete the statement, I am ... over 50% of the kids answered with a one-word answer that was a negative trait or characteristic. The three most common answers being I am fat, I am stupid, or I am ugly. So where did that come from? I'm willing to bet that 99.9% of parents aren't constantly telling their kids how fat and stupid and ugly they are. But how do those same parents talk about themselves? How often do they, even if they're just trying to be funny, describe themselves or other grown-ups in that way? So now I like to say that kids are like wet cement. Is whatever lands upon them tends to stick and leave an impression. So we, the parents, teachers, coaches, neighbors, our society as a whole, we owe it to our kids to fix this now, before it's too late. Now, I am are the two most important and powerful words in the world. How you complete your I am statement says everything about you, about who you are. It speaks volumes about the standards that you have for yourself and what you expect from other people. It literally determines how you live your life. The problem is that most people have never given this any conscious thought. And if you haven't decided, it's usually the loudest and most consistent voices in your orbit that are deciding for you. The words that you choose to think, say, write about yourself reflect how you've been living your life and how you will live it in the future. If you're using negative wording, you more than likely spend a lot of time getting lost in problems and challenges. You're most likely worrying about and being upset and unsatisfied and complaining and feeling depressed about things that later on you find really weren't all that important after all. You're exhausting a lot of negative energy. If you use positive wording, you'll probably spend a lot more time exploring alternative options and finding solutions to problems instead of wallowing in that problem. More than likely, you don't worry about the occasional unexpected situation that pops up and generally don't sweat the small stuff. You're much more likely to find ways to deal with things, and more importantly, you're creating a lot of positive energy. So how you finish the phrase, I am, literally determines the quality of your life and the lives of everyone around you. It's an attitude, it's a personal philosophy and a belief system that guides you in every decision you make. It's the essence of who you are. It is your identity. So the key question is, do you know who you are? Have you decided your identity? If you haven't, you're letting others decide for you. And is that what you really want for your life and for your kids' lives? Or do you want to be the one who decides what you do and how you feel? So guess what? Falling into the trap of being who other people tell you that you should be or who you think they want you to be because it's something you've always been told, it's not your fault. There's a very small percentage of people in the world today that have ever given any conscious thought to their I am statement. Most people have never been asked to consider the idea of who they really are. And as a result, they have not established goals, let alone set up a process for achieving what those goals are. They may have dreams, they may have wishes, but those aren't goals. Most people don't have a specific plan. They live day to day, paycheck to paycheck. They bounce between the events in their lives, kind of like a pinball being randomly hit by the bumpers in the game of life, and then ask themselves, why does this stuff always happen to me? And that's just a tough way to exist. And for generations, people have been told that when you grow up, you get a job, you start a family, you raise kids, you become a grandparent, you retire, end of story. Just doing something because that's what you're supposed to do. Why? Most of the time when you first meet somebody, they introduce themselves. You ask them who they are. And the response is almost always their name and or their occupation. But is a name or a job really who somebody is? For example, Mother Teresa. Would Mother Teresa have been a different person if her name was Sue? No. Mother Teresa didn't move through life being Mother Teresa. She moved through life being a caring, supportive, loving, compassionate, knowledgeable person, all according to her faith. All parts of her identity that she chose to express each and every day. Look, people are complex. Our bodies are made up of multiple intricate systems that work together seamlessly, well, at least most of the time. All of this is controlled by our brain. It's the most powerful processing tool that's ever been created. It controls every function of our body without requiring conscious thought. So should it be any surprise that when you have to answer the question of who are you, that we haven't given it much conscious thought? But the people who have given this idea some deliberation, some conscious thought, are some of the most successful and happy people in the world today. Now, I'm going to take you and your kids through a simple process for establishing an identity that will empower you and your kids to achieve goals that most people would think are impossible. I once heard Dr. Robert Schuller once ask, what would you attempt if you knew that you couldn't fail? So right here, right now, I challenge you to help us finish this process as soon as possible. Every day that a kid goes through life without an empowering identity is a day they will never get back. And the same goes for the grown-ups. So no more procrastinating, no more time wasting. It's time to discover who you really are and help your kids do the same. A wise person once said, yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. So let's give our kids the gift of self-confidence, happiness, and success. Follow me and I Am for Kids as we lead the movement to have an impact on kids' personal development and empowerment the way that the Muppets did for reading and for math.